Belief is one of the most powerful forces that a human being can possess. It is intangible, invisible, and immeasurable, yet it has the ability to shape destinies, build empires, and transform ordinary individuals into extraordinary achievers. When we say that belief can take you anywhere, we are not merely speaking about blind optimism or empty faith, but rather about a deep-rooted conviction in oneself, in one's purpose, and in possibilities that lie ahead. History, science, philosophy, and personal stories all echo the same truth: that people who believe in their dreams and in their own capacity to achieve them can go farther than anyone who doubts, hesitates, or fears. Belief is not a luxury but a necessity, for without it even the most talented individuals fail to realize their potential. To understand the value of belief, one must first grasp that the human mind is designed to be driven by conviction. Every invention, discovery, or breakthrough that we take for granted today was once just an idea living in someone's imagination. What separated those who changed the world from those who merely dreamed was their unwavering belief in what others dismissed as impossible. The Wright brothers believed that humans could fly, despite constant ridicule, and their belief gave birth to aviation. Thomas Edison believed that light could be harnessed through electricity, and after countless failures, he created the light bulb. Mahatma Gandhi believed in nonviolence and freedom, and his conviction moved millions to fight for independence without lifting a weapon. These examples are not accidental. They demonstrate how belief fuels perseverance, resilience, and creativity. Without belief, the first obstacle becomes a full stop. With belief, every obstacle is merely a pause before progress. Belief does not only exist in extraordinary stories of history, it is deeply personal and touches every individual's life. When a student believes in his or her capacity to excel, the challenges of long study hours, difficult subjects, or peer competition become manageable. When an athlete believes in the possibility of victory, training sessions, injuries, and setbacks become stepping stones rather than roadblocks. In the same way, when an entrepreneur believes in an idea, no matter how risky, the sleepless nights, financial struggles, and criticisms are endured with the hope of eventual success. In each of these cases, belief acts as a guiding light, keeping the individual focused on the destination even when the road seems dark. Belief is often mistaken as something external that comes from luck, encouragement, or approval from others. While external support can strengthen belief, the most important source is internal. True belief is born from self-confidence, self-awareness, and the courage to trust oneself even when no one else does. There will always be doubters, critics, and skeptics, but if a person depends entirely on others to validate their dreams, then their journey is fragile. Genuine belief is quiet yet firm, humble yet unshakable. It allows a person to stand tall in storms because the assurance comes not from circumstances but from within. At the same time, belief is not blind. It is not about ignoring reality or pretending difficulties do not exist. Rather, it is about acknowledging reality while still choosing to focus on possibilities. A person who believes does not deny that the journey is hard, but refuses to accept that it is impossible. This balance is what separates belief from wishful thinking. Wishful thinking sits idle, waiting for miracles, while belief inspires action. Belief turns dreams into plans and plans into reality. It gives direction to effort and meaning to struggle. Another profound truth about belief is its contagious nature. When one person believes strongly, that energy often spreads to others. A leader who believes in his team inspires confidence in each member. A teacher who believes in her students helps them unlock their hidden potential. A parent who believes in a child can instill lifelong courage in them. Human beings are deeply influenced by the convictions of those around them, which is why belief can multiply and create collective progress. The greatest movements in history were not carried by a single person, but by groups united by shared belief. This collective belief builds trust, motivates cooperation, and fuels persistence in the face of overwhelming odds. However, the absence of belief can be equally powerful but destructive. Doubt, fear, and disbelief act as invisible chains that limit growth. A person may have talent, resources, and opportunities, but if they lack belief, they will hesitate, procrastinate, or give up at the first failure. Doubt whispers that success is for others, not for oneself, and fear magnifies every setback until progress feels impossible. This is why belief is often said to be more important than ability. Ability without belief remains unused, while belief without ability can often create ability through persistent effort. Belief also connects deeply with imagination and vision. The ability to see beyond present limitations and to envision a brighter, more meaningful future requires faith in that vision. Belief allows a poor student to imagine himself as a scientist, a struggling artist to see herself as a world-renowned painter, or a young leader to see his people free from oppression. This vision may appear unrealistic to outsiders, but belief makes it feel possible, even inevitable, to the one who carries it. And once the vision becomes strong enough, it attracts opportunities, inspires action, and often turns into reality. In personal life as well, belief is essential for happiness and resilience. Every human being faces disappointments, losses, and failures. Without belief, these experiences can break a person, making them bitter, hopeless, or stagnant. With belief, however, these same experiences can become lessons, preparing the person for future success. Belief tells the heart that tomorrow will be better, that every setback is temporary, and that the story is not over. It keeps the flame of hope alive, even in the darkest times. Many people who overcame tragedies, illnesses, or extreme hardships often say that it was their belief in something greater, be it God, destiny, love, or personal strength, that carried them through. It is also important to note that belief requires nurturing. Just as a seed needs water and sunlight to grow, belief needs reinforcement. Positive thoughts, encouraging environments, and constructive habits help belief to flourish. On the other hand, constant negativity, toxic surroundings, and repeated failures without reflection can weaken it. Therefore, one must guard their belief carefully, feeding it with knowledge, practice, and optimism. Surrounding oneself with supportive people, learning from inspiring stories, and celebrating small successes are ways to keep belief strong. In the end, belief is not about guaranteeing success, but about making success possible. No one can control every outcome in life, but belief ensures that one will continue moving forward, adapting, and striving. It opens doors that doubt would keep shut, and it gives strength that fear would otherwise steal. When we say that belief can take you anywhere, it means that with belief, the limits that most people accept no longer apply. It means that the poor can rise to wealth, the weak can grow strong, the unknown can become celebrated, and the impossible can become real. Belief is the foundation of human achievement, the invisible engine behind every great journey. It is what allows individuals to rise above their circumstances, to defy odds, and to reach places that once seemed unreachable. Without belief, even the simplest goals become difficult, but with belief, even the most daunting challenges become opportunities. It is the spark that turns dreams into reality, and the strength that carries people across mountains and oceans of difficulty. In life, there will always be uncertainties, obstacles, and critics, but those who truly believe will always find a way forward. Belief can take you anywhere because it transforms limitations into stepping stones, failures into lessons, and dreams into destinations. It is not merely an idea, it is the very essence of progress, growth, and success. Discipline is often described as the bridge between dreams and reality, and this statement carries a truth that applies to every area of life. Everyone dreams, everyone imagines a future in which they are successful, happy, or fulfilled, but very few people turn those dreams into reality. The reason is not always a lack of talent, opportunity, or intelligence. More often than not, the missing ingredient is discipline. Dreams are free, but achievement requires consistency, self-control, sacrifice, and effort, all of which are fueled by discipline. Without discipline, dreams remain fantasies. With discipline, they become goals, and with persistent application of discipline, they turn into reality. At its core, discipline is the ability to control one's actions, emotions, and desires in pursuit of a greater purpose. It means doing what is necessary even when it is uncomfortable, boring, or difficult. A disciplined person does not rely on fleeting motivation, but builds routines and habits that keep them moving forward regardless of mood. Dreams ignite passion, but passion alone burns out quickly if it is not sustained by structure. It is easy to feel inspired by imagining success, but true progress comes when one wakes up early, studies late, trains harder, or practices longer than others, day after day. This steady application of discipline is what slowly but surely narrows the gap between where one is and where one wants to be. Consider the example of athletes. Almost every young person dreams of becoming a champion, but only a small fraction ever reach the podium. What separates them is not only natural talent, but also discipline. Champions follow strict training schedules, maintain rigorous diets, and practice relentlessly even when their bodies ache or their minds grow tired. They sacrifice short-term pleasures for long-term glory. Their discipline is the bridge that carries them from the dream of winning to the reality of standing victorious. Without such commitment, their dreams would remain in the realm of imagination. The same principle applies to students. Many students dream of excelling in exams, earning scholarships, or entering prestigious universities. Yet dreaming about success does not write essays, solve problems, or memorize formulas. Discipline does. It is discipline that pushes a student to wake up early to study, to resist the distraction of social media, to revise repeatedly, and to practice until concepts are mastered. A student who is disciplined in their study habits may not always be the most naturally gifted, but they often surpass those who rely only on intelligence without consistent effort. Here again, discipline acts as the bridge, turning the dream of academic achievement into tangible results. In the professional world, discipline is equally critical. An entrepreneur may dream of building a successful business, but the path is filled with challenges, financial struggles, competition, long working hours, and countless setbacks. Only discipline enables an entrepreneur to keep going, to adapt strategies, to manage resources carefully, and to persevere through failures. Many start businesses with enthusiasm, but without discipline, they give up at the first sign of difficulty. Those who succeed are not just the ones with the best ideas, but the ones who discipline themselves to execute those ideas consistently. Discipline is also essential in personal development. Dreams of being healthy, fit, or balanced are common, but the reality requires daily choices that align with those dreams. It requires discipline to exercise regularly, to avoid unhealthy foods, to manage stress, and to prioritize mental well-being. Similarly, dreams of being a skilled musician, writer, or artist demand disciplined practice and commitment. Natural talent may give an initial advantage, but without discipline, it withers away. History is full of talented individuals who never realized their potential because they lacked the discipline to cultivate their skills. At the same time, there are countless examples of average individuals who achieved greatness because they practiced tirelessly, showing that discipline outweighs talent when it comes to real success. Discipline also plays a profound role in character building. Dreams of being respected, admired, or trusted by others cannot come true without disciplined behavior. Integrity, honesty, and reliability all require discipline. It takes discipline to resist temptations that compromise values, to keep promises even when it is inconvenient, and to consistently show up for others. In relationships, whether personal or professional, discipline ensures stability and trust. People who lack discipline may pursue relationships passionately at first, but without consistency, their connections weaken over time. Thus, discipline becomes the bridge not just for material dreams, but for dreams of meaningful relationships and a strong moral character. One important aspect of discipline is that it transforms freedom into responsibility. Many people mistakenly see discipline as restrictive, as though it limits one's choices. In reality, discipline creates true freedom. A disciplined person is free from the chains of laziness, distraction, and procrastination. They gain control over their time, energy, and future. For example, a disciplined student has the freedom to choose their career path because they study diligently. A disciplined professional has financial stability and freedom because they manage their work and resources responsibly. In contrast, those without discipline often find themselves trapped in regret, missed opportunities, or dependence on others. Dreams without discipline often lead not to freedom, but to disappointment. It is also worth noting that discipline is not a one-time effort, but a continuous journey. Building a bridge between dreams and reality requires laying down each plank, day after day. Discipline must be practiced consistently, not occasionally. Small, repeated actions accumulate into significant achievements. Reading a few pages daily leads to finishing books. Saving a small amount regularly leads to financial security. Exercising a little every day leads to long-term health. These small acts of discipline compound over time, proving that success is not about one giant leap, but about countless steady steps. Discipline also strengthens resilience. Every dream will encounter obstacles, failures, rejections, and disappointments are inevitable. Without discipline, such challenges can discourage and derail a person. With discipline, however, a person develops the mental toughness to endure hardship, to rise after falling, and to keep pushing forward. Discipline teaches patience, reminding us that results do not appear overnight, but require time and persistence. It is discipline that keeps an artist painting even when their work goes unnoticed, a writer writing even when publishers reject them, or a scientist experimenting even after repeated failures. Eventually, discipline turns persistence into success. Dreams inspire, but discipline delivers. A person may dream of writing a novel, but unless they discipline themselves to write daily, the novel will never leave their imagination. A person may dream of becoming a leader, but unless they discipline themselves to learn, serve, and grow, leadership will remain out of reach. A person may dream of wealth, but unless they discipline themselves to work hard, save, and invest wisely, wealth will remain elusive. Discipline is the bridge that transforms vague desires into achievable goals, and finally into lived realities. In a world full of distractions, discipline becomes even more valuable. Technology, entertainment, and social media constantly compete for attention, making it easy to waste hours without realizing it. Dreams quietly fade in the background when one is trapped in distractions. Only discipline allows a person to prioritize what truly matters, to focus on long-term goals rather than short-term pleasures. The disciplined individual learns to say no to distractions, to manage time wisely, and to remain committed to their vision despite temptations. Ultimately, discipline is not about perfection, but about progress. No one can be perfectly disciplined all the time. What matters is the willingness to return to the path after slipping, to keep practicing even after failure, and to hold on to routines that bring growth. Dreams do not demand perfection, but they demand persistence, and persistence is fueled by discipline. When we say discipline is the bridge between dreams and reality, we recognize that every dream requires a cost. The cost is effort, sacrifice, and self-control. Discipline is the price one pays to cross from the land of imagination to the land of achievement. It is not glamorous, it is not easy, but it is effective. Those who embrace discipline eventually reach their goals, while those who avoid it remain on the shore, staring longingly at their unfulfilled dreams. Discipline gives structure to passion, direction to ambition, and strength to perseverance. It builds habits that outlast motivation and creates momentum that carries one forward, even in difficult times. In the end, dreams may light the way, but discipline walks the path. Without it, dreams remain castles in the air. With it, they become foundations for reality. Discipline is indeed the bridge, and those who dare to cross it with patience and persistence find themselves living the life they once only imagined. Failure is part of the journey, and no matter how hard people try to avoid it, failure is an unavoidable aspect of human life. From childhood to adulthood, every individual encounters moments when plans do not succeed, when expectations are not met, and when dreams appear to collapse. Yet, instead of being the end of the road, failure is often the very thing that shapes character, strengthens resilience, and leads to eventual success. Without failure, there is no growth, because failure teaches lessons that comfort and easy victories never can. To understand the significance of failure, one must view it not as a permanent defeat, but as an essential step on the journey toward achievement. Every great success story in history has failure woven into its fabric. Thomas Edison, before inventing the light bulb, failed thousands of times in his experiments. When asked about his failures, he famously remarked that he had not failed, but found thousands of ways that did not work. His perspective shows that failure was not the end, but a necessary process of elimination that guided him to success. Similarly, J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series, faced multiple rejections from publishers before finally finding one that believed in her work. Today, she is one of the most successful authors in the world, but without enduring failure and rejection, she would not have reached that stage. These examples highlight that failure is not a barrier but a bridge that must be crossed on the journey to realizing one's dreams. Failure is also a teacher. It reveals weaknesses, exposes mistakes, and forces individuals to reflect on their actions. While success often makes people complacent, failure demands self-examination and improvement. A student who fails an exam realizes the importance of consistent study and better time management. An athlete who loses a race learns the value of training harder, improving technique, or strengthening discipline. A businessperson whose startup collapses gains insights about market demands, financial planning, or leadership. Each failure, painful though it may be, carries valuable lessons that success cannot provide. It is through failure that people learn adaptability, patience, and humility. Another essential truth is that failure builds resilience. Life is not a straight path, and challenges are inevitable. People who fear failure often give up easily when difficulties arise, while those who embrace failure as part of the process develop the mental strength to persevere. Resilience is built not by smooth victories, but by bouncing back from disappointments. Every time someone falls and rises again, they become stronger, wiser, and more determined. Failure teaches that setbacks are temporary and that persistence matters more than perfection. This resilience eventually becomes the foundation of great achievements. Failure also eliminates the fear of trying. Many dreams die not because they are impossible, but because people are too afraid of failing to pursue them. Once a person experiences failure and realizes that it is survivable, the fear loses its power. They understand that failure is not fatal, and that every attempt, successful or not, brings them closer to their goal. This courage to try, even at the risk of failing, is what separates achievers from those who remain stuck in hesitation. Failure liberates individuals from the illusion of perfection and allows them to take bold steps forward. Culturally and socially, failure has often been stigmatized, making people ashamed to admit their mistakes. This stigma creates a fear-driven environment where individuals hide their failures instead of learning from them. However, societies that celebrate failure as a learning experience encourage innovation and creativity. In Silicon Valley, for example, entrepreneurs often share their failures openly, because they know that failure is an expected part of innovation. Great inventions, technological advancements, and creative breakthroughs come from trial and error, where failure is not seen as shameful, but as a stepping stone toward progress. By embracing failure, individuals and communities unlock greater potential for growth. Failure also has a unique role in shaping character. Success can sometimes inflate ego and breed arrogance, but failure humbles people, reminding them of their limitations. It fosters empathy, as those who have failed understand the struggles of others more deeply. It nurtures gratitude, as people who fail learn to appreciate small victories and the support they receive from others. It cultivates patience, as failure teaches that progress often takes time and effort. Through these character-building qualities, failure molds individuals into stronger, wiser, and more compassionate human beings. In personal journeys, failure often redirects people toward paths better suited for them. Sometimes, failure is life's way of steering individuals away from something not meant for them toward something greater. A student who fails to qualify for a certain program may discover another field that aligns better with their passions. An entrepreneur whose business collapses may later find success in a different industry. A relationship that fails may open the door to one that is healthier and more fulfilling. In this sense, failure is not a dead end but a redirection, guiding individuals toward opportunities they might never have considered otherwise. Failure also teaches the value of perseverance and hard work. When success comes too easily, it can be taken for granted. But when success is achieved after multiple failures, it is cherished more deeply. The journey through failure instills discipline and commitment, showing that dreams are not handed freely but earned through effort. Each failure reminds individuals that the path to success is demanding, requiring sacrifice and determination. The sweetness of victory is amplified when one has tasted the bitterness of defeat. It is important to note that failure alone does not guarantee success. What matters is the response to failure. Some people let failure crush their confidence, making them afraid to try again. Others treat failure as a temporary setback and use it as motivation to improve. The difference lies in mindset. Those with a growth mindset see failure as a learning opportunity, while those with a fixed mindset see it as proof of inadequacy. By choosing to view failure positively, individuals transform it from a stumbling block into a stepping stone. In relationships, failure also plays a role in personal growth. Misunderstandings, conflicts, or mistakes may cause relationships to falter, but such failures teach communication, compromise, and understanding. Couples who learn from their failures often emerge stronger, while friendships that survive failures become more resilient. Even when relationships end, the lessons gained from those failures help individuals build healthier connections in the future. Failure in relationships thus becomes part of the journey toward deeper emotional maturity. Failure also enhances creativity. Many great works of art, literature, and science emerged after repeated failures. When one approach does not work, failure forces people to think differently, to explore new ideas, and to innovate. The process of trial and error often leads to unexpected breakthroughs. Failure sparks curiosity, encourages experimentation, and nurtures originality. Instead of being the opposite of success, failure often serves as the birthplace of success. Most importantly, failure makes success meaningful. If success came without struggle, it would lack value. The pride and satisfaction of achieving something stem largely from the challenges faced along the way. Failure adds depth to the journey, making the destination more rewarding. It reminds people that the journey is not just about reaching the goal, but about who they become along the way. Success achieved without failure feels shallow, but success that comes after failure carries a story of resilience, growth, and triumph. In the end, failure is not the enemy of success, but its companion. It is a necessary part of every meaningful journey, shaping individuals into stronger, wiser, and more capable versions of themselves. Those who embrace failure, learn from it, and persist despite it are the ones who ultimately succeed. Failure teaches lessons that success cannot, builds resilience that comfort cannot, and creates growth that ease cannot. It redirects paths, shapes character, and fuels determination. Rather than fearing failure, one must see it as an essential step on the journey of life. Success without failure is rare and often shallow, but success that grows out of failure is lasting and fulfilling. Failure is part of the journey, and without it, there can be no true growth, no real achievement, and no meaningful success. Success means sacrifice, and this is a truth that echoes across every corner of human life. Whether in academics, sports, business, art, or personal growth, no form of genuine success is possible without letting go of something else. Every achievement carries with it a cost, and that cost is often time, comfort, energy, and sometimes even relationships or pleasures. Many people admire success from the outside, seeing only the glory, the rewards, and the recognition. But what lies hidden beneath every success story is a foundation built on countless sacrifices. Dreams may inspire, goals may motivate, but it is sacrifice that makes them real. To reach the top in any field, one must be willing to give up the ease of the present for the promise of the future. Sacrifice is often misunderstood as a negative or painful act, but in reality, it is a conscious choice to prioritize something greater over something lesser. It is the ability to say no to distractions and temptations in order to say yes to discipline and focus. For a student, success may mean sacrificing hours of leisure, sleep, or entertainment to study diligently. For an athlete, success demands giving up comfort, indulgent food, or free time in order to train tirelessly. For a professional, success often requires working long hours, missing social events, or postponing immediate pleasures to build a career. In each case, the sacrifice is not meaningless suffering, but an investment into a greater future. History provides countless examples of individuals whose sacrifices became the stepping stones of their success. Mahatma Gandhi sacrificed personal comfort, luxury, and even his profession as a lawyer to fight for India's independence through nonviolence. His sacrifices gave millions the hope of freedom. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, sacrificing his personal life and freedom for the cause of ending apartheid in South Africa. His success as a leader was inseparable from the sacrifices he made. Similarly, scientists and inventors throughout history have sacrificed stability and comfort to pursue discoveries that benefited the world. Marie Curie devoted her life to research, often working in unsafe conditions, sacrificing her health for scientific progress. These stories show that success is never handed freely. It is earned through a willingness to let go of comfort and embrace sacrifice. Sacrifice is not only about grand historical examples, but is deeply relevant in everyday life. A student preparing for an important exam understands that to succeed, they must sacrifice late night parties, long hours of entertainment, or excessive relaxation. Their success in academics depends on their ability to choose focused study over distraction. A young entrepreneur building a business realizes that to achieve their goals, they must sacrifice financial security, social activities, and sometimes even personal comfort to dedicate themselves fully to their venture. A musician who dreams of mastery must sacrifice countless hours practicing, even when it feels repetitive or exhausting. Without these sacrifices, their dreams would remain unfulfilled. Success and sacrifice are linked because time is limited. Every hour spent on one thing is an hour lost on another. Those who succeed are not necessarily more talented or fortunate, but they use their time differently, sacrificing short-term pleasures for long-term rewards. Sacrifice teaches discipline, reminding us that immediate gratification often stands in the way of lasting achievement. A person who spends money recklessly may enjoy temporary pleasure, but sacrifices future financial stability. On the other hand, one who sacrifices short-term luxuries by saving and investing secures long-term wealth. This principle applies across life. Success requires the courage to delay gratification and embrace sacrifice today for a brighter tomorrow. Sacrifice also builds resilience and character. It is not easy to give up comfort, and doing so strengthens willpower. Every sacrifice requires self-control, and self-control builds inner strength. When an athlete wakes up at dawn to train while others sleep, they are not only building physical strength, but also mental toughness. When a student resists the temptation to waste time, they develop focus and perseverance. When an individual sacrifices personal gain for the good of others, they cultivate humility and compassion. Sacrifice, therefore, is not merely a tool for external success, but a pathway to internal growth. One profound truth about sacrifice is that it creates value. The greater the sacrifice, the greater the value attached to success. Success without effort or sacrifice often feels shallow because it lacks meaning. But when success comes after years of struggle, dedication, and sacrifice, it becomes deeply rewarding. A farmer values his harvest more because of the hard labor and sacrifices he makes in the field. A student treasures their degree more because of the sleepless nights and sacrifices made along the way. A parent takes pride in their children's achievements because of the sacrifices they endured to provide opportunities. Sacrifice gives depth and meaning to success. Sacrifice also requires clarity of vision. To sacrifice something, one must first know what they truly want. People who are unclear about their goals often struggle to make sacrifices because they do not see the purpose. But when the dream is strong, sacrifice feels less like suffering and more like a choice. A young artist who dreams of mastering their craft willingly sacrifices hours of leisure because they know their vision depends on it. A person who dreams of better health gladly sacrifices unhealthy habits because they see the reward ahead. When dreams are vivid and meaningful, sacrifices become easier to bear. In relationships, too, success depends on sacrifice. Strong marriages, friendships, and families thrive on sacrifices made by individuals for the sake of one another. A parent sacrifices sleep, comfort, and personal desires for the well-being of their children. Partners in a relationship sacrifice individual preferences to maintain harmony and love. Friends sacrifice time and energy to support each other in difficult moments. These sacrifices may seem small, but they build the foundation for lasting relationships. Without sacrifice, relationships collapse under selfishness. With sacrifice, they grow into strong, enduring bonds. Sacrifice is also a test of priorities. It forces individuals to decide what matters most. Many people desire success, but are unwilling to make the sacrifices it demands. They want the reward without paying the price, but success always asks, what are you willing to give up? Are you willing to sacrifice comfort for growth, fear for courage, excuses for action, and temporary pleasure for long-term fulfillment? Those who succeed are not the ones who avoid sacrifice, but the ones who embrace it. Sacrifice, therefore, is the proof of commitment. Dreams without sacrifice remain empty wishes. At the same time, sacrifice is not about giving up everything blindly. True sacrifice is purposeful. It is giving up something of lesser value to gain something of greater value. It is not about unnecessary suffering, but about wise choices. A student who sacrifices sleep every night to study may harm their health, which is counterproductive. A professional who sacrifices all personal relationships for work may achieve career success but lose emotional well-being. Sacrifice must therefore be balanced, guided by wisdom and long-term vision. The key is not to avoid sacrifice, but to choose sacrifices that align with one's values and goals. The journey of sacrifice also teaches gratitude. Those who sacrifice appreciate what they achieve because they know the price they paid. They value their success more deeply and remain humble because they understand it was not handed freely. This gratitude prevents arrogance and fuels generosity. as people who have sacrificed often empathize with the struggles of others. They recognize that true success is not only about personal gain, but also about the sacrifices made by those around them, parents, teachers, mentors, or friends who contributed to their journey. Ultimately, success means sacrifice because life does not allow us to have everything at once. To climb higher, we must let go of what weighs us down. To move forward, we must leave behind distractions and comforts. Every successful person has made sacrifices, whether seen or unseen, and those sacrifices define the strength of their achievements. Sacrifice is the hidden foundation of every dream realized, every goal achieved, and every life transformed. It is the bridge that carries people from where they are to where they want to be. In the end, success is not measured only by achievements, but by the sacrifices endured to reach them. The late nights, the missed opportunities, the hard choices, and the countless efforts all form the story behind success. While the world applauds the visible rewards, the real honor lies in the sacrifices that made them possible. To succeed, one must be willing to let go, to endure, and to choose wisely. Success means sacrifice, because only those who are ready to give up something valuable in the present can achieve something even more valuable in the future. It is not a burden but a path, not a punishment but a privilege, because through sacrifice, dreams are turned into reality, and life becomes meaningful. True legacy is not records, it's inspiration. Records are numbers, statistics, and achievements written down in history, often celebrated for a time and then forgotten when someone else surpasses them. They are important markers of accomplishment, but they are not eternal. What truly endures, what lives beyond a person's lifetime, is not the records they set, but the inspiration they leave behind in the hearts of others. Inspiration is what shapes generations, motivates ordinary people to rise above limitations, and creates ripples of change that last far longer than any number on paper. A legacy measured only by records fades when those records are broken, but a legacy built on inspiration continues to grow even after the person is gone. When we look back at history, the individuals we remember most vividly are not just those who broke records, but those who inspired others through their courage, values, and vision. Mahatma Gandhi is remembered not because he held political office or set world records, but because his commitment to nonviolence inspired millions to believe in the power of peaceful resistance. Martin Luther King Jr. is not honored because of any measurable achievement, but because his dream of equality continues to inspire movements for justice worldwide. Mother Teresa did not set records for wealth or power, but her compassion and selfless service became a beacon of humanity. These figures remind us that while records may belong to a moment, inspiration belongs to eternity. Records are static, they remain confined to the books of history. Inspiration, however, is dynamic, it lives, breathes, and multiplies through people. When a record is broken, it may spark temporary admiration, but when someone inspires, they plant seeds of change in countless lives. An athlete who sets a world record may be remembered until another athlete surpasses them, but an athlete who inspires through determination, humility, and perseverance leaves a legacy that motivates generations of dreamers. Jesse Owens, for example, did not just win 4 gold medals in the 1936 Olympics. He inspired the world by standing tall against racism and prejudice. His achievements went beyond records because they gave people hope and courage. Inspiration also transcends boundaries of time and place. Records are often confined to a specific field, sports, academics, or business, but inspiration spreads far beyond. A teacher may not set records in terms of wealth or recognition, but the inspiration they give to their students lives on in countless lives shaped by their lessons. An artist may never sell the most paintings, but their work may inspire emotions, creativity, and passion for generations. A parent may not achieve fame or public recognition, but by inspiring their children with values of kindness, honesty, and hard work, they create a legacy far more valuable than any record. True legacy is found in the unseen influence that shapes lives quietly yet powerfully. One reason why inspiration is a truer form of legacy is because it transforms others. Records are about what one person achieved, but inspiration is about how one person's life changes the lives of others. A person who holds a record may be admired, but a person who inspires awakens courage, hope, and ambition in others. Nelson Mandela's legacy is not in political records, but in the inspiration he provided by sacrificing his freedom for justice. His life taught the world about forgiveness, resilience, and leadership. That inspiration continues to guide leaders and citizens alike, long after records of his presidency have become history. Inspiration also survives the test of time because it is not tied to comparison. Records are meant to be broken. Every generation produces stronger, faster, or smarter individuals who set new benchmarks. But inspiration is not about competition, it is about impact. Florence Nightingale's legacy is not measured in the number of patients she treated, but in the inspiration she gave to the field of nursing, making it a respected profession. Albert Einstein's true legacy is not in the equations he solved alone, but in the inspiration he gave to countless scientists and thinkers who dared to question and imagine beyond limits. Their legacies thrive because they inspire, not because they set records. Moreover, inspiration connects deeply with values, and values are what truly shape humanity. Records can be admired from afar, but inspiration is felt within the heart. It is what drives people to act, to change, and to become better versions of themselves. A wealthy individual who amasses records of business success may be respected, but one who inspires others through generosity, integrity, and vision leaves behind a legacy that transforms communities. Inspiration appeals to the soul, not just the intellect, and that is why it endures. In everyday life, too, inspiration is more valuable than records. A parent's legacy is not measured by how much wealth they accumulate, but by the inspiration they give to their children through their sacrifices and values. A teacher's legacy is not the number of awards they receive, but the inspiration they instill in students who go on to achieve great things. A friend's legacy is not in achievements, but in the inspiration they provide by standing by us, supporting us, and teaching us the meaning of loyalty. True legacy is built in the hearts of people, not just in the pages of record books. Inspiration also has a multiplying effect. Records end with the person who sets them, but inspiration grows as it is passed on. A single act of kindness, courage, or vision can inspire countless others, who then inspire even more people. This ripple effect is how legacies endure. For example, Anne Frank's diary did not break records in her lifetime, but her words inspired millions around the world to value hope and humanity even in the darkest times. Her legacy lives on not because of numbers, but because of the inspiration that transcends generations. True legacy, being inspiration rather than records, also emphasizes the importance of purpose. Records are often about outcomes, but inspiration is about the journey, the struggles, and the values lived along the way. People may forget the exact details of someone's accomplishments, but they remember how that person made them feel, how that person changed their perspective, and how that person's story gave them courage. Success measured in records is temporary, but success measured in inspiration is eternal. It is also worth recognizing that records can sometimes create pressure and division, while inspiration unites. People may envy or resent those who hold records, but inspiration draws admiration and love. A record holder may be challenged by rivals, but an inspirer builds a community of followers. This is why legacies built on inspiration are healthier, stronger, and more enduring. They bring people together, encourage collaboration, and promote shared growth. Inspiration also honors the humanity in people. Records focus on perfection and performance, but inspiration often comes from imperfection and struggle. People are inspired not by flawless victories, but by stories of resilience, courage, and perseverance through failure. An athlete who never loses may be admired, but an athlete who rises after injury, defeat, or hardship inspires more deeply. A leader who appears flawless may be respected, but one who admits mistakes, learns, and grows inspires trust and hope. In this way, inspiration reflects real humanity, making legacies relatable and meaningful. Ultimately, a legacy of inspiration is more powerful because it cannot be erased. Records can be broken, forgotten, or rewritten. Inspiration cannot. It lives in the hearts of people, in the lessons they carry, and in the actions they take because of what someone else showed them. The greatest leaders, thinkers, and everyday heroes are remembered not for the records they set, but for the inspiration they provided. Inspiration turns ordinary lives extraordinary, and it ensures that the influence of a person continues long after they are gone. True legacy, therefore, is not measured in numbers, awards, or records, but in the lives touched, the hope given, and the courage sparked in others. Records are milestones, but inspiration is movement. Records are achievements, but inspiration is transformation. Records fade, but inspiration grows. If one wishes to leave behind something lasting, it should not be a pursuit of records, but a life that inspires others to dream more, do more, and become more. Success is temporary, but inspiration is eternal. That is why true legacy is not records, it's inspiration.